Hello everyone, and today we're back into another tier list video. And today we're going to be making a tier list on, honestly, it's going to be about how much a Lumion is used in battle. So it's basically an overuse, it's basically like broken, overpowered, overused, average, underused, never used, and then, as my term, bottom of the barrel are basically Lumions, which are almost never used. So I am thinking about doing something with this tier list in the future, so I'm just gonna make it. I'm not sure. I'm not really that well known in terms of actually trying to put these kind of lists together. Like, I'm not really that good at putting, you know, overused or underused or never used Lumions in a list, but I'm gonna attempt and I'm gonna see how I can do with this. So let's get started. Now, we're gonna start with Seer Knight. Where would Seer Knight be? I think he's in the middle. I think a lot of people use Seer Knight, but there's a lot of others that don't. I personally don't like Seer Knight, but I gotta put it by how much I actually see them and how much they're used. I think they're in the middle. I think I see a few of them, but I don't see too many of them. So I think they're average. They are powerful at times, but other times they die or hit. So yeah, Tatab is interesting because there's a lot of people that give a lot of crap on Tatab, but I see a solid amount of Tatabs being used. I think it would have to be an average. I think Tatab is an average. I see quite a few of them, a lot more than people think. Although I don't see the pro players use a Tatab that much, but still, I do see them. Luminami, is it in broken? Is it in broken or overpowered? I think it's in overpowered. I don't think it's in broken. It still has one of the best secret abilities in the game, probably besides to Clips or Wrestling. But yeah, I think Luminami is definitely overpowered. I wanted to put it in the top, but I don't think it's broken compared to some other Lumions. Broken is like, Lumions which are usually banned. Like these are usually the Lumions which are banned in a lot of tournaments. So yeah, I don't think Luminami is that though. I think Luminami is just overpowered. Valkyrie, I've been seeing a lot of Valkyries recently, and they have risen a lot in the tier list. I think they're overused. I really think Valkyrie is really good. And I have been seeing a lot of them too, a lot of Valkyries. Oh gosh, Vesperatu's definitely in the overpowered. I see a lot of Vesperatus being used, even with the additions to brawler types that can actually hit it super effectively. I mean, it's Vesperatu with Slackdown, with hard hitting capabilities, with healing move. I mean, it's overpowered. Himber, I would say Himber's in the same tier. It's in the same tier as these two though. I think I'll put it barely in overused. I see a lot of Himbers being used. I see a lot of Himbers. I think I see more Himbers than Vesperatus, but thing is, I think Himber is overused. I don't think it's overpowered compared to others. Although there is no swap-ins to it. Zulong, I think same way. Zulong is overused. A lot of people give a lot of crap to Zulong, but I still see a lot of Zulongs. Now, we're going to get to some of the roams. Dusket is underused. It's probably the worst roaming in the game. I think it is the worst roaming in the game, honestly, and it's kind of sad because Dusket is actually pretty solid, but I have to put it in underused. I don't see any of the pro players use it. Ikazune is only a step above. Do I put it in average? I don't see that many Ikazunes anymore. When I see them, people don't use them correctly, so I think it's an average. It's solid it's solid, but I don't see many people use the Ikazune correctly. Protagon's going to be an overpowered. It's you have to have legit counters for Protagon. Protagon can still sweep a lot of teams, even if you have a range defense tank. Like, it's just with the addition to Steel Crusher, you can kind of get rid of those range tanks now. So yeah, Protagon is still pretty scary. Mutagon, I don't think there's any questions about that one. I mean, Braum Boost, Quick Punch, you win. Metronet is an overpowered. I will definitely have to put Metronet here. I mean, Hypnotize with Peace of Mind, I think it's obvious why he's up there. Wobblisk is an average. I think Wobblisk is underused. And I know it feels bad putting it in the same tier as Duskit, but I never see people use Wobbulis, which is weird. Wobbulis, I think, is one of the most underrated Lumions in the game, just because, ignorant. It will not be hit if anyone uses setup. So it's probably the best Lumion to bring in if there's a setup Lumion. So it's probably the best Lumion to stop sweeps, which gives a lot of value, honestly. I really think Wobbulis should be used more. Nimue, I think it's overused. I still see a lot of people use Nimue. Nimue is pretty powerful. And now we're going to get to the Cosmures. I don't see many people use the Cosmures, but if I were to rank the Cosmures, that's where they'll be. I think these two are overused. I see a lot of them, and they're very powerful. But a lot of people use the Cosmere Unleash because of its ability to take other Lumions' abilities. When a Lumion on your team faints, the Cosmere takes it, which just adds a lot of combos for great teams. So, yeah, you can combine this with a lot of your other team. That's why this is used more compared to the other two. Although these two are still very powerful. Nevermare, oh gosh, Nevermare is also an overpowered. Razor Sharp, 50% crits, and if they add a scanner item in the game, it's going to be 100% crit. So, yeah. Nevermare is definitely an overpowered. Akalos is average. Oh, I did not mean to click Eliguana. That was an accident. I did not mean to click Eliguana. Akalos is average. I don't see any Akaloses anymore. Even then, Akalos, despite having Brawn Boost and being faster, it does seem to do it. It is probably the best ice type on an ice type team because it resists fire, but still, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't, it's not used correctly right now in the meta. Now we're going to get to the rats. Oh gosh, no one ever uses Luxor Umbrat. Umbrat, there's reasons why people never use, but I'm kind of sad. I almost never see anyone use Luxor. And honestly, Luxor is solid. I really think Luxor is solid. Umbrat, there's reasons why people don't use it. Despite having Quick Pounce priority, there's reasons why people don't use Umbrat. Luxor, though, Luxor's pretty hard on the range defense side and has a very good speed tier, so I'm kind of shocked a lot of people don't use Umbrat. I think it's because of its reputation. The reputation of Umbrat has taken a huge hit, even though it has Fire Breath now. Oh gosh, let's not even get started onto Clips. Totally Clips completely breaks the game. That's definitely, even though this isn't a banned Lumion, I have to put it in broken. It's broken. It's obvious. Cinemoth is a never use, which again is which I think there are a few reasons why. It's very frail, but it can be very solid if you use it correctly. But no one ever uses it correctly. That's why it's a never used. Avatros? Okay. Avatros, I have no idea where to put Avatros. On one hand, it's probably one of the best, fastest Lumions with setup, raw boost, could be a very good sweeper. But there's a lot of things in the meta that just resist its moves. I just don't know where to put Avatros. I think at one point he could be up here, but at other points he could be down here. So we're gonna average the margin and put it in overused. I think Avatros is an overused. Swolder, is he overpowered or overused? I don't know. He has a great defensive typing. But is it? I see a lot of people use Swolder. A lot of people use Swolder. But when I put it in overpowered, I think he's a step above. It's close, though. He could be either of these two. Swolder, actually, I don't know. I'm going to put it in overpowered for now, but I might switch it. We'll see. Oh, gosh. Florence, bottom of the barrel. He's so freaking predictable. Plus, with Stalfino now existing, it literally makes no reason to use Florent. Terrafly is a never use. I never see Terrafly. The only time I ever use them is if they place barbs. That's it. Yeah, and plus a lot of people just don't use them correctly. Same with Dragoon. Oh, Dragoon is very good. But I never see people use Dragoon. Although its ability thief is really good. This is probably one of the hidden gems on this tier list. Because, yeah, I think the thing is, The biggest thing with this tier list is I'm going to make it so I could pick one Lumion from each tier and create my own teams with them. I think it'll be very fun to do. So that's why I have it in like these tiers. We're going to go with Borak. Borak! Oh, mixed conflictions again. At points he's up here, and at points he's down here. I don't see too many Boraks now, mainly because Trumbull exists. I think it'll be average, though. I think Borak is pretty good. If I put it below average, I might get a lot of hate. I'll put it in average. I think it's a good spot for Borak. Oh, Gastro. Probably one of the worst Lumions in the game. Wiki Wiki's also bottom of the barrel. It's never used. I never see Wiki Wiki used on a team. I don't think it is as bad as a lot of other Lumions. I mean, it's a pretty solid support Lumion, honestly. But is it worth that one spot on your team? That's the question mark. Is that support role worth one spot? That's what I'll let the people decide. But a lot of people don't run support Lumions, unfortunately. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's bottom of the barrel. Tartiki is overpowered. I mean, come on. It's a fire plant type. Its typing works defensively very well. It has Muck Blast as a coverage move. Burn Up, Provoke. Yeah, this thing is overpowered. There's no doubt about that. Same with Centimars. This thing is overpowered. Talent Trade, the lazy ability away. Hasty Setup. Solid coverage moves in Blaze Chomp and Thunder Chomp. Has solid coverage. So yeah, this definitely is an overpowered. Ventation. Where do I place Ventation? If it was before Tundralin, I would put it in overpowered. But I think it drops to overuse. I still see a solid amount of Ventation. Ventation is still a nice counterpart to... Ventation is still a great counterpart to Tundralin, but I do think it does drop a little. The usage has dropped ever since Tundralin was a thing. Oh gosh, your soul is overpowered as well. We have a lot of spirit types that overpower because they're all really good. Same with Revenine, they're overpowered. Vengeance is amazing. Sachi, where do I put Sachi at? I do see a solid amount of people use Sachi, and they use him pretty well. I would say it's either average or overuse. I think it barely goes into overuse. Its hard-hitting damage potential with a nice amount of coverage moves definitely puts in an overuse, despite having no defenses. This thing just hits really hard. A Reptidon will be an overuse. It's a very, very good fire-type Lumion. I don't think it's better than Infernix, but I do think it's still a very powerful fire-type Lumion. Crackalola is also an overuse. Oh, I see a lot of people use Crackalola. And Crackalola is pretty good right now, so I have to say. Vocaloa, where do I put it? I don't see many people use Vocaloa. And it's sad. It has actually pretty good coverage. The thing I could say, though, it doesn't do enough damage before it gets a Brawl Boost. Once it gets a Brawl Boost, it does a lot of damage. But before it kind of falls behind. So I am going to put it in the average. Eliguana is an overpowered. Is he overpowered or overused? I will put him in overused. He could be overpowered, but I think he'll be in overused right now. And also, yeah, now the tier list is kind of messed up. I know y'all won't see the Lumions at the bottom, but I will tell you, I will drag them up, so y'all will see them. Obsidragon. Now, where do I put Obsidragon at? If I was able to put Obsidragon in a tier, where would I put him? I think he's in overpowered. I don't think it's in quite broken. I don't think Obsidragon is quite in the broken tier. Let me see if I can get the boundary. I want to try to make it so the list, y'all can see all the Lumions. Okay, there you go. We'll do that for now. But yeah, we got Obsidragon. He is an overpowered. I don't think he's broken, though, and I don't think he's bannable. I think he is really good. He's definitely an overpowered, though. Trumbull, I don't see many people use. I don't see many people use it anymore. I think Trumbull is average and Mewtwo is underused. These Lumions are amazing. Like, this tier list is not questioning these Lumions' PvP ability. It's how much these Lumions are used. And these two are just almost never used. So they are only an average and underused. Gobademic is still overused. Despite Snagoot being in the game, I still see a lot of Gobademics being used. Although I have seen a lot more Snagoops. But I've still seen a solid amount of Gobademics. It's still an overused. Oh, I never see Icicles. I see them every once in a while, but I never see people use Icicle, which is actually solid. but I think it's in never used. Garbantus? I never thought I would say this. Underused. I almost never see any Garbantuses anymore. Its defensive typing is completely made it one of the worst bug typings. And that's always been a problem, but it's been even more of a problem when things like Spreezy and Harvestek and Terraclaw and Swolder exist. So, yeah, a lot of people have just stopped using Garbantus in general, which is kind of sad. I do think it's a lot better than people make it out to be. But yeah, it isn't underused. Ferroglyph, I see a few of those. I'll put it in overuse. Ferroglyph is basically, above average Lumion with above average everything. That's basically Ferroglyph. Stratosaur would used to be an overpower, but I almost never see Stratosaur. I don't think it's an underused. Is it underused? Is it underused? I think it's around this tier. I think I see Stratosaurus the same number as I see Totobs and Cyranites and Ikazune. So I think I'll put Stratosaur there. Bottom of the barrel for Diborg. I almost never see people use Diborg. It's sad. Like, it's a really good secret ability. Really good secret ability. It should be used. It should honestly at least be an underused, honestly. But I never see people use Diborg. It's kind of sad. I never see people use Diborg. Tyrex, okay, there's no question with this one. This one's an overpowered. This one's in the overpowered tier. Munchwheel's an overused. Despite Submarine being a thing, Munchwheel I think is still better out of the rev up users just because it's typing. Pure Metal is better than Water Metal defensively. So, yeah, I'll put Munchwheel in overused. Guardrone, underused. I almost never see people use a Guardrone correctly. And also, it's just kind of tough to use. So, it isn't underused. Hunder, it's overpowered. I see a lot of Hunders. They basically flinch their way to win. Terraclaw, I never see Terraclaws be used. Terraclaw might be the most hidden gem Lumion of all time because a lot of people hate it as a range tank because it has no rejuvenate. Oh my gosh, this Lumion does not have rejuvenate. It sucks. It has parasitize that can heal. One thing I will have to agree though is that it is pretty much over reliant on the health amulet. But this Lumion is so good in terms of coverage. It has amazing coverage. Probably some of the best coverage moves in the game. So yeah, that's what makes Terraclaw good if you can predict the swap into other Lumions. I've got a lot of KOs just by predicting a Wrestling coming in or a Wintrix coming in with Ruffa. It can be very unpredictable to battle and very hard to beat. Infernix, is it broken or overpowered? Like, I gotta bring it in case of how much it's used. And I think it's overpowered, but I don't think it's quite in broken. I would probably put it in broken, but I don't think it's quite up there yet. I don't think it's quite up there. Once it gets levitate, on the other hand, oh yes, it will be up there. Dorgo, it's average. I see a few of them every once in a while, and they're solid. They're used solidly. Malmerk is good, but I never see people use it. It's underused. I never see people use it. So yeah, I'm putting it in underused. I don't see anyone use it. Metatoad's overpowered. I see so many Metatoads. Actually, yeah, I see so many Metatoads. I think it belongs up here in overpowered. And plus, it's really powerful. Anything you have on this thing is just gonna be powerful. Blowtox, never used. That's none. I think it's underused. Barblast being a thing, and also, it's just not that good compared to Barblast. If you want to use this type of Lumion, use Barblast, honestly. The Ludrix, underused as well. I honestly think it should be lower. I think it should be never used, but the Ludrix, I do see a few Ludrixes, so I will actually put it in underused. Colossotrops, I see a few of them. I'm going to put them in average. I think putting him in average is a very good spot. If these things are used correctly, Colossotrops can be very scary. Cephalops. Oh, we don't even have to talk about this one. This one's almost banned in like every tournament. So yeah, we're putting it in broken. It's banned in like every tournament. Arpygo, I will put in average. You know, I think putting it in average is very good for where it's at. Garlash is at the same tier as Hunder. I think it's a step below just because of its slightly slower speed. But honestly, these two could be interchanged. Skellic, leave him at the top. It's probably the worst PvP Lumion in the entire game. Joltooth, I see a few of them actually. I will put it in overused. Despite its slow speed, I do see a lot of people use Joltooth. Not correctly, to be fair, but I do see a lot of Joltooths. I will put it in overused. Festifer's in, honestly, it's at bottom of the barrel. I never see Festifer. Festifer should be used more. Festifer would probably be an underused or average if it was me, but I never see Festifer. Hoganosh, I don't see many people use Hoganosh. It's just as good as Crackalola, but I see just a few less. Is it average, though? Is it still overused? I think I see them at around the same level as Cyrodiite, so I think I will actually put it at average. And if I put anything in the overpowered tier, I'll shift this up so you can see it. But right now, this tier list is kind of getting too big. So, yeah. Oh, actually, I can't even see the bottom of the barrel Lumions anymore. Oh, jeez. Poor dudes at the bottom. Mocho. I don't see many Mochos. I see them, but I don't see them that often. I see them at the same rate as I see Hoganosh. So yeah, I'll put it in average. Spreezy, they're overpowered. They're really annoying to beat. I see so many people use Spreezy. It's overpowered. It's broken. Oh, maybe, well, not broken, but it's overpowered. Your snack is overused or overpowered. I think it's barely an overpowered. It's weird. I don't see many your snacks, although every time I have seen one, it's caused some major damage. So I will actually put it in overpowered. Whippledrift is no, I'll put it in overused. I see a few of them. I see a few Whippledrifts, so I will actually put it in the overused tier. Servalin, never used. I never see Servalin. And for good reasons, too. Borak and Trumbull exist, first of all. Second of all, it's probably the worst Bari out of all of them. Other than Bari. Other than Bari. And three, it doesn't have anything to make it stand out. It has Boost. You got Borak. It has Vengeance. You got Revenine. Like, you see the problem. There's just a lot of Lumions that do the job better. It's fine, but yeah, it's definitely the worst Bari. I never see them. Same with Wendelin, although I think Wendelin is a step above. I see a few. And I do think it's a lot better than people make it out to be. But yeah, I almost never see these two, which is kind of sad because Wendelin actually has some untouched potential. Curlin is an average. I see them every once in a while, and they'll either sweep my team or they miss their first attack and they lose it. So yeah. Zeppelin is overused. I see them quite often. Even with Wintrix, I still see Zeppelin being used quite often. Venolin, is that an broken or is that an overpowered? I will put it in overpowered, actually. I think I'll put it in overpowered. Waka Waka, it's never used. It's sad. Waka Waka, once again, just like a couple of the other Lumions, has untouched potential, but Quanweek the Dark and Quanweek the Bug just hurt so much. Oxydrake, it's banned in tournaments. It's going in the broken tier. It's banned in a lot of tournaments. Even though I don't necessarily agree with its banning in tournaments, if it's banned in tournaments, it's going in broken. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And plus, I see a lot of people use Oxydrake. Wrestling isn't overpowered. I mean, come on. It's Wrestling. Wrestling is overpowered. Ace. It has Ace, and it just hits really hard. Buzzlin, I would put in overused. It's definitely the better of the two vigorous users. It's very powerful. Honestly, I'm even debating on putting it in overpowered, but I think I'm going to keep it in overused for now. I think keeping it in overused is good. Oh gosh, Harvest. I see so many Harvestex, and Harvestex overpowered. He has great coverage moves. He hit very hard. It's definitely an overpowered. I think that's a good spot for it. Wintrix, same place. I see so many Wintrixes, and they always do a lot of damage. I'm even debating it, putting on the top, but I'm gonna keep it just out. I'm gonna keep it in overpowered. Now, Tundralin. Tundralin is not banned in tournaments, but guess what? I see so many of them, and they're overpowered. They're so tough to beat every time. They're being in the broken tier. They're probably it's probably the most broken Lumion in the entire game. Now we got Bar Blast. Where will Bar Blast be? Honestly, I think it's overpowered. Either overpowered or overused. I think I'll put it in overused. I don't see as many of them as I thought I was going to see, honestly. Although it does, and I think it's because of its 37 speed, but it is really overpowered. I'm thinking about putting it in it, but I think I'm going to keep it just out. Snagoop, same place as Bar Blast. I'm going to put it in overused. I see a lot of Snagoops recently. It's probably going to rise up on the list later. Sakami, never used. I have never battled a Sakami ever. I've never battled one of these things. I never battled a Sakami. So yeah, it's bottom of the barrel. I never see them. Banfino is an average. And that's because I don't see them, although this thing could be overpowered / broken potential if you're using Solfino, but, it's an average. Oh, Kanabo is overpowered. There's no doubt about that. Kanabo is overpowered. So yeah, I'm putting Kanabo and overpowered. Like, I see a lot of them. There's no swap-ins for this thing, and even though it recklessly KOs itself most of the time, it hits really hard. That potential by itself makes it insane. Sumo Beetle's underused. I don't see many people use Sumo Beetle, and that's kind of frustrating considering Sumo Beetle's actually really underrated. Just like Terraclaw, Sumo Beetle's really underrated. I mean, it basically has its own priority moves. With Parasitizes coverage to Clips and Desperatu, which is perfect. This Lumion is very good. Now I'm going to go with Samarine. I think it's an overuse. I think it's overused, but I don't think it's quite in overpowered. I think it's overused. It's below Munchwheel, I think. So I still see them just because it's new, but I think later it will actually drop. Honestly, it's kind of meh in PvP. So yeah. Now we're going to go for Lumelo. Where would Lumelo be? I will put it at... Do I put it in broken? It technically is broken. But I think if I would have to say, from the number of times I see them, I think overpowered. As weird as it says, I don't see too many Lumelos. I see them a lot, but I don't see them as much as I thought I was going to see. It's because this is broken. I honestly am thinking about putting it in the broken tier. I honestly think about putting it in the... You know what? I'm putting it in a broken tier. I mean, it has barbs. You can't even get rid of them currently. I probably should have put it in overpowered, but you can say in the comments if I should have put it in overpowered or not. And that's actually all of the Lumions. Am I missing any missing evolved? I have a couple that I want to do though. There's a couple more Lumions that I want to do, and these are some of the pre-evolutions which are used in PvP. We're gonna put a couple of the pre-evolutions that could be used. Red Burn's never used. I mean, I don't see many Red Burns anymore. I see them every once in a while, but they're never used. Same with Gaklo. I see them sometimes, but I don't see them too often. Reptide, I say it's underused. I think it's a very underrated alternative to Luminami. So I think I am going to put it in underused. Now, Excalibur, no one ever used, although I do think it is better than Gastroke. Since it has Drop a U, I think it is better than Gastroke. So I think it's better than Gastroke. So yeah, Excalibur is down there. Chrysite, underused. I don't see many people use Chrysite. Despite it having overpowered potential, I do think it's underused. It is underused. Same with Concreton. Same reasoning. I do see some people use Triathlon though. So I will actually put that in average. And it's not the same tier as Colossotrops, but it kind of is on a different reason. I do think it is below Colossotrops, but I do still see people use Triaphodon. Okay, now we're going to the only pre-evolution that will be an overpowered Odasho. Do we even have to talk about this thing? Do we even have to talk about this thing? Yeah, I thought so. Poison Barbs, Pestilence, Sap Plant. Yeah, let's just move along. Copperage, Underused. I see a few people use it. This might be the most underrated pre-evolution because Driving's Force with Barbs. Try this with Lumello. You will not be disappointed. I am serious. Try this with Lumello. You will not be disappointed. This is probably one of the best Driving Force users in the game. Stricicle, never used. I literally, no one has ever made a showcase video on it. I see some people use this thing though. Ironically, Macro is actually better than Sakami in terms of PvP. It's better than Sakami, so yeah, it's going to never use. When its pre-evolution is better than its final evolution, it's just the biggest brawl moment of all time. And then the last one's Lumica. I see a few of these, and I won't put it in overused. I do see a few people use these. So, there is our overused, underused tier list. And I am thinking, with this tier list, on making some creative teams where I'm going to roll. So, I'm going to pick some very creative teams to try out and use in battle. I think I'm going to make it like a series. Until the meta changes, I'm going to make a few videos on creative teams that I made based on the tier list. And what the rules are is I'm allowed to pick one Lumion from any tier. So I can pick one from the broken, one from the overpowered, one from the overused, one from the average, one from the underused, one from the never used, and one from the bottom. And basically how the rules work is you're only allowed to ever pick one from this tier. But you can, if you want to, pick none of them from the broken tier and pick two in the overpowered. So you could have two overpowers and like one in the rest. Or you could have two overused with one overpowered. So yeah, so you're only allowed to have one of these. You're only allowed to have two or less, 3 or less, 4 or less, 5 or less, 6 or less, or 7 or less. So that's basically how that goes. And I'm going to be making some creative teams based on the overused and underused tier list that I made today. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on me making my own tier list. I don't see many people make these type of tier lists. I think I made one, but I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I wanted to make one update it by the new metas, and also just so people have a little bit more understanding of what Lumions are used compared to other ones. So yeah. So if y'all are doing any tournaments, this is probably the tier list I would go with. Of course, not all of the broken Lumions are banned, but you know. I honestly am not a big fan of Lumions being banned in tournament, honestly. I get a lot of them were overpowered, but I don't necessarily agree with them getting banned. I don't think they should be banned. So, yeah. I hope y'all guys enjoyed this tier list that I made. So, yeah. I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!